Hello everyone. In this video we're gonna take a look at FEMAP with Nastran, which is an engineering software, and we're gonna do finite element analysis on it. We're gonna have several videos in this playlist, but in this first video, which is extremely beginner stuff, we're gonna take a look at where some buttons are. We're gonna create some basic shapes, maybe do a little extrusion, and get situated and get started with the software. Alright, so right here we are looking at the work plane. This is where we're gonna be doing all our work of drawing and setting things up. Okay, so we're gonna open a new page. You can click this icon right here or bring it down, click on new. You will get a new page where you can do your drawing and setting up your geometry. So first up, the work plane, and you can see that there's no numbers, no nothing on it, so it's up to your preference. Do you like it this way, or if you want, you can do a right click with the mouse and find work plane right here, work plane. If we click on it, you can see draw work plane. There you go, it highlights it for us. Now if you want other options, not just the edge of it, you can click snap options, and over here we can do several selections. We can do, for example, uniform grid or non-uniform. I'm gonna pick uniform. We want to see, what do you want to see? We can have a bunch of dots or lines. Let's click on dots, and we can set the work plane size, how big you want it. Let's say from 0 to 12, I'm gonna say it maybe 20, and the y-axis also 0, let's make it 20. Okay, click OK, and there you go. See, that's what we have. We have dots. If you don't like it, you want maybe you don't want it at all, the perimeter, then take it off. Or let's say I want lines. There you go. See, now you can see much better where you're going to be drawing. Now one thing to remember is that every time you open a new page, or by default when you start drawing or want to draw anything, FEMAP will always set your work plane on the XY plane. Okay, you see, we can, if I spin it, you can tell that that's how it is. Now if you need to move it or put a different facing plane, but let's say XZ or XY, you need to change that. Okay, sometimes you're gonna have to draw on the face of a solid. For example, you will have to make sure that you tell FEMAP to move your work plane to match that surface. That's later on when we are getting involved more in detail and more advanced stuff, but right now just keep in mind you're always on X and Y plane by default. You don't want it, you need to change it. So let's get started drawing some kind of geometry. If you hold the control button, then you can actually move the plane, or if you don't, then you can simply rotate it. That's a shortcut with your control button. Okay, so let's try to see, let's draw something on this work plane. I'm gonna create that geometry that we saw at first. Let's do this one. Let's recreate this one. How was this created? So on our new plane, if you don't like it, see how the work plane is all weird and I can't draw on it now? Here is the way you change it. See the XYZ axis? Right here, you can pick whichever face you want. I want the right side, left, front, top, or see the top. And let's say this is not the orientation I want, it's on its side. You can pick to rotate it left, right, whichever way. You can hold down the control button, and then you can pull and have it face in front of you. Alright, let's zoom in a little bit so you can see the dots better. So let's create a rectangle. So we have these buttons up here. We are creating a geometry. So let's go to the button geometry, curve, line, and I'm gonna create my rectangle using the button rectangle. We could also create it with lines one by one, but let's use the rectangle option right now. We can see right here, you need to pick these 2 points and then it will draw it for you. You can see the highlight. Now We can tell the software more than one way how to create it. The little dialog box, one way that we can create it is by telling which coordinates do we want. So my first corner, I'm gonna leave it at 0, 0, 0. Click OK. Then it's gonna ask for the second button or second corner where to have it. Let's see if this was here. I'm gonna put it somewhere up here. Let's say maybe 2 on the X direction and 1 on the Y. Click OK, and we can see there's our rectangle, right? The one we just draw. Another way to create a rectangle is, let's say, do a right click on your mouse, and over here there's an option that says snap to grid. This will allow us to snap to these predetermined points that we can see, and it's easy to select that way. Let's do another geometry line, again the rectangle, and now instead of writing in what I want, I can just come here and boom, select that one. That's one of my corners. The other one, I don't know, let's pick this one. Boom, see, it writes in the numbers by itself. Okay, and there's our new rectangle. All right. Okay, so now I'm thinking I'm gonna just keep the outer rectangle that I drew a minute ago, and I don't want this anymore. So there's buttons up here. Let's go to delete. Let's pick geometry and curve. So I don't want this one, I don't want this one, I don't want this one, and I don't want this one, right? Maybe I'm confused. I don't know which one did I highlight. Right here, click on this show selected, and it will highlight it for you so it's more visible, so you know you don't make a mistake. Click OK. OK to delete. Yep, and update the features. There you go, and it's gone. Alright, so now let's put it back here. Let's create our surface, because this one is just the outline of the rectangle, right? This is just a polyline highlighting its perimeter. So we want to create an actual surface out of this drawing that we created. So for that, back to geometry, and this time we're gonna look for a button called surface. Down here, surface, and again this will has more options that we can use to do what we want, but for this one we could use edge, for example, with curves, or corners. I'm gonna go with corners for right now. Let's take a look how that one works. And here it's asking me to locate the corners based on what I'm gonna create this surface. So let's enable snap to grid. So simply we're gonna go around and select the corners of our rectangle. So I'm gonna click this one. Okay, I'm gonna click this one. Okay, I'm gonna click this one. Okay, and this one. Okay, and bam, there you go. Automatically recognized that we enclosed an area and created our surface. Now we can cancel this window right here. We don't need it anymore. We don't have any more buttons, corners to select. So done. There you go. We have our surface, just the one we saw right here. We created it. Okay, let's continue. Get back to our surface that we just created. Click the top so we can face it straight on. And let's see, what do we want? We want to create some circles, right? That means we are altering our geometry. So let's go back to our geometry button here at the top. Find curve, circle. As you can see, there are several options to creating a circle. Let's pick the first one. Again, look at the icon and you kind of can get a preview of what's going to be needed to create it. Here we're going to need the center and a dot on the perimeter of the circle. So let's click radius, center of the circle. Again, this little window down here, you can either enter where you want the circle, or just like we snapped before, if this is on, you can click somewhere, like I don't know, I want it here. It's gonna fill in, and let's see. Oh, I lost it, I don't know where it is. You click this preview button right here, it's gonna highlight it for you, so now you know where your circle is gonna go. Click OK. Now it wants us to have define a point on the edge of the circle. So our point was here, so let's try to give, what is it, 0.2. Okay, let's make either click it or define it. I'm gonna put it right here. So okay, there's my circle. Now I'm gonna cancel this out. So there's one of my circles, right? We want to create two to match what we see here, so let's do another one. Go back to geometry, curve, circle, and this time, I don't know, let's pick the diameter. As you can see, the diameter shows that you're gonna need, we're not gonna ask you for the center of the circle, it's gonna ask you for two points on the edge of the circle. So again, let's pick it. I'm gonna, let's see, go with one edge here. Okay, and the other edge, let's not even try to make that one the same side. Let's make it here. Where is it? Preview. Bam, there you go. Click OK. There it is. We have two circles. I don't need this window anymore, so we can just cancel it out. Okay, now we can keep going and adding other stuff. Let's take for just for fun, add another circle, but this time use the center, this one. So this one again, I'm gonna pick, let's say, this circle right here. Click OK, and this version is gonna ask you what kind of length you want for the radius, right? Until now we were clicking and picking points like this one. If you know your radius, then you use this option. Let's say I want a radius of 0.1. Click OK. Bam, there it is. And see, this window doesn't go away, just because in case you need to enter maybe several circles, then you don't have to go back to geometry and every single time just click and click and click. There you go, one circle after another just keep popping up. When you're done with your circles, only then you cancel it out and you're done with the circle adding feature. Now, one important thing, this does not mean that right now we have several surfaces here. We still only have one surface. We have one rectangle surface and we just drew some stuff on it, right? So one way to tell, go up here in view and visibility, or just press Ctrl Q. I always use Ctrl Q, much faster. So click that, and this is where you control what is displayed here. So let's go to labels and all off. I don't want to see nothing except right here, geometry, and I want to see surfaces. And every surface will have an identifying number. And as we can see right now, there's only one identification number here, number 1, right? There's only one surface. So we're gonna go ahead and project these lines onto this surface right here and make sure that it separates this feature into several different distinct surfaces. So there's more than one way to do it, but one is, let's go to mid surface, trim with curve. Okay, ID is gonna ask this one, which one do we want to trim, and now it's asking what do we want to trim onto that surface. So pick the lines. I'm gonna pick this line, paste this line. Let's say I can't see which one I picked. Right here, highlight, I pick these two. Oh, I have this line too. Add it to it, highlight it also. There you go, see, I have all three highlighted. Click OK, and now what do we see? We don't need any more trimming or surfacing, so we cancel this little window out. And remember, we had each surface had an ID. What do we see now? Not just one ID, we have this, and the big surface. They're all separate entities now, and they all have their own separate IDs. this kind of confirms you that you got the job done. Now we can proceed and make our holes. We have separate surfaces in each circle, therefore we can get rid of them. We can delete. Go to the delete button up here, geometry, surface. This window appears. Now we can delete which geometry. We can even delete the surface, the rectangle, and leave the three circles here, but I want it the other way. I want to keep my rectangle and I want to get rid of this, and this circle. There you go. It's highlighted. Now we click OK. Delete the surface. OK. And there you go. We have three holes in our rectangle. We can see it. There you go. Okay, so this one was a 2D model, right? Let's go ahead and try something 3D right now. We see this little cube right here. Let's try to create this one. Well, I'm gonna keep this one. So let's go back and right here, ask for a new file. Here it is. If you want to keep your geometry that you just created, make sure you go to File and Save. Okay, and it'll like ask you where you want to save it. Make sure you save your files, because if not, when you close it, it'll be gone, just like any other software. So, all right, let's have a new workplane. I'm gonna start up my workplane again. I like seeing the background where I'm working. Remember what we said again? Automatically, it's always on the XY plane. Again, see, it appeared right there. And I'm gonna put some options. I want it uniform. I want only dots this time, and go from 0 to 12. Yeah, sure, that sounds like good. Okay, there you go. Let's click over here, and I want to snap to the grid. Okay, there you go. I've set up my work plane the same way like we did before. Now let's go ahead and create the 3D cube that we looked at. Okay, let's create our lines. Let's go back to arc line, curve line, and do a rectangle. Again, I'm just gonna pick some locations. Let's say from here. Okay, and then the other one, maybe this one. Okay, there you go. There's my rectangle, or you could write in the numbers and make sure it's a nice square. I'm gonna go with whatever shape came out, and there's more than one way to do things, so whichever you like. As you get more experience, you'll be able to differentiate between them, but this is good for now. Now let's go ahead and create a surface out of this. Okay, so let's go back to geometry and surface, and last time we did the corners, so this time let's do edge curves. So it's asking me the edge surface. Let's say this one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, those are the ones that I want. Okay, bam, there is my surface. It automatically created it. I don't need to create another one, so close it out. Very good. Here's our surface. Okay, let's go ahead and extrude this 2D surface and turn it into a 3D geometry. So let's go back to geometry, solid, and we're gonna extrude right here. Click on it. Now more options. So first let's click on surface, and we're gonna tell the software what surface we are planning on extruding. See, it highlighted its identity. Okay, now it's asking, is this a new solid? Yes, it's a new solid. If it would not be, like let's say we are extruding some piece on top of another geometry, then we would have the option to either join it or leave it as a two separate bodies. But for us, new solid, and we can click positive, negative, which direction do we want it to extrude it. Automatically it's gonna assume the perpendicular direction, orthogonal straight to this surface. If you don't want that, if you want some other different kind of extrusion, there's more options for you to explore right here. So for us, we're gonna just go orthogonal to the surface that we selected, and let's do a depth of, how wide we made this, 0.2. Okay, so let's do 0.2, the depth of extrusion, then click OK, and there it is. We have our solid that we've been looking for right here. Great. If you messed it up, again, go to Ctrl Z, and very easy to do it again. Solid, extrusion, all these there. I want the surface, this one. Okay, and 0.5 this time, let's say. Okay, there you go, a longer one. Very good. Another way to create very basic shapes is geometry, solid, and primitives right here. If you click on these, they'll give you a few basic options where you can create blocks, cylinders, cones, spheres, and it's very easy and very fast to create them. So let's say if I want another cube and block with center option, let's say 555 on each side. If you click it, bam, there you go. See, much bigger than the one we drew right here. This one was about 0.2 and we made this one 5, so you can tell. All right, so okay, like we looked at earlier at surface IDs, we're gonna identify all its surface, edges, and nodes of this feature as well. In finite element, it is very important to know which surface has what number, what node is where, and so on. So I don't want to see the work plane right now because it's just gonna add stuff that I don't want to see. Get rid of, see the draw work plane, gets rid of the ruler edge, and the snap options, invisible, bam, and then all it's gone. So I want to see right now all the identities. So I'm gonna go to view, visibility, and click, make sure you're on labels, click all off or all on. See, then it's a bunch of stuff appears, but I don't want everything. I just want click all off. And in geometry, I want to see all my surfaces identified. We have 11, 12. See, each surface has an identity. I also want my curves, all the edges have their own identities, and the points, which are the nodes at the edges of these surfaces. These are just points. Nodes will be the ones that will be created once we mesh, but we are far from that for now. Right now we just geometry, so these are points. Click OK. There you go. If you want other modifications, like let's say modify and color of the solid, we can do select all, and then all of it will be changed, and let's change it to yellow, let's say. Bam, there you go, everything. Okay, if you want only modify, let's say color, surface, I want just the top, click that one, see, only that one selected. Okay, and I want that, I don't know, red. Bam, there you go. Alright everybody, I believe that would be it for this video. A bunch of basic stuff. If you want to get your skills better, check out the next video, like the video, subscribe, and make sure you have a great day.